We're on the verge of 1,000 subscribers, and your support keeps these nightmares alive. If you're ready to experience something truly unlike anything you've heard before, subscribe now to Nightmare and Fear. Tonight, we go into the forest. But not all of us will come back. There's something you should know about Camp Dread Hollow. It's not on any map anymore. After the summer of 1993, it was erased. Not shut down. Erased. And even now, I can't be sure if it was ever really real. Because what we saw, what we felt, wasn't of this world. It began with the screams from beneath the ground. We weren't scared at first. It's a forest, sound travels. Wind plays tricks. But these screams, they came from below the fire pit. From inside the dirt. There were 6 of us. All part of a wilderness therapy program. We were supposed to spend 10 days off-grid with no phones, no outside contact. Our counselor, Eric, said isolation would help us reconnect. He didn't know what lived beneath. On the second night, I noticed the fire wouldn't burn right. The flames leaned sideways, as if pulled by something. And then we found the hole. Just a few inches wide. Perfectly round. No bottom in sight. We joked it was a groundhog hole. But every night, it grew larger. And the screaming got closer. On the 4th night, Kayla dropped her flashlight in the hole. We heard it bounce once. Then, a splash. But there was no water nearby. Just dry soil. Unless we lowered a GoPro on rope. What we saw on the footage still haunts me. Not just a tunnel. Not just a cavern. But a chamber of mouths. Dozens, maybe hundreds, all carved into the stone walls. Some wide open. Some whispering. Some chewing. None human. That night, Eric tried to fill the hole. He poured a bag of rocks into it. We listened. No sound of hitting bottom. Just silence. Then the whispering started. It wasn't in our ears. It was in our bones. The hole opened wider. And by morning, Eric was gone. Only his boots were left. And his voice. Still whispering. From the pit. One by one, we started hearing things. Not just whispers of the voices from our past. Dead parents. Abusive exes. Fears we never said out loud. The pit didn't echo our voices. It echoed our pain. It fed on it. We tried to leave. But every path bent inward. No compass worked. The forest had closed around us. As if we were never meant to leave. I don't know how long we were in there. Time stretched. The sun rose, but it never fully shone. Shadows moved on their own. And the hole kept growing. By the final night, it was as wide as the whole campsite. And it was breathing. Kayla was the last one with me. She said she saw her brother inside the pit. He died when she was 9. She smiled. Said she was ready to go home. And she jumped. The hole closed behind her. And for the first time in days, silence. Real silence. I woke up weeks later, miles away, dehydrated and nearly dead. No record of the camp. No names on the registry. Only one file left at the ranger station. Dread Hollow Site 12. Status sealed. Do not disturb the mouth. But every so often, I hear something. When it rains hard enough. When thunder shakes the floor. I hear it under my bed. A whisper. A breath. A hunger. The mouth never left the forest. It followed me. Some places don't stay buried. And some stories never end. Subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000. We speak so that others may listen. Before the voices dig their way back up. There was a legend no one spoke out loud at Campfire Veil. Not in the brochures, not around the fire. But the old counselors whispered it when the kids were asleep about the 7th fire. 7 nights. 7 campfires. On the 7th, if the fire speaks your name, you must not answer, or the forest will take you. We laughed about it. Made it part of the orientation gag. Until the 7th night came, and the fire called mine. I was volunteering as a wilderness therapist, helping teens with trauma reconnect with nature. Campfire Veil was tucked between 2 ridgelines, accessible only by a dirt trail and a radio that only worked in one specific spot. The first 6 days were normal. Hiking. Group talks. Campfire stories. But every night, the fire burned too perfectly. No crackles. No smoke. Just a tall, silent flame, with a voice that only some could hear. On the first night, Jamal said he heard his sister's voice coming from the flames. She had died in a car accident 6 months earlier. We thought he was hallucinating. Grief talking. But on the 3rd night, all of us started hearing things. My voice. Saying things I never said. Things I feared people knew. You left her in the river, Owen. You didn't even look back. By the 5th night, the fire changed colors. Not orange. Not red. Blue, green, violet, colors that don't belong to flame. And shadows moved against the light, even when we weren't near it. I tested it. Lit another fire, away from camp. That one crackled and smoked like normal. Only the main fire, the one at the center of Campfire Veil, was wrong. The kids stopped sleeping. They sat around the fire all night, wide-eyed, smiling. They said the fire was showing them things. My mom said sorry. My dog is alive in there. The flames said I don't have to feel anything anymore. They were changing. Becoming empty. On the 6th night, one of them walked straight into the fire. And never screamed. The flames didn't react. No smoke. No burning. Just silence. And then a whisper. One more. That night, I packed up. Tried to leave. But the forest looped. No matter how far I walked, I ended up back at the fire. Even when I closed my eyes and walked blind, I was pulled back by something, like gravity, but colder. And then the 7th night came. The kids sat in a perfect circle. Unblinking. Unbreathing. And the fire called my name. Not aloud, inside me. Like a voice filling my lungs from the inside out. Owen. Owen, come sit. Let go. Let go. Let. I screamed. Plugged my ears. But it was already inside. I saw every failure, every guilt, every dark thing I'd buried. And the fire began to rise. I don't remember running. I just remember waking up 10 miles outside camp, face down in the creek. The kids were never found. Campfire Veil was erased from records 6 months later. But I still have burn marks on my palms. I never touched the fire. It touched me. And every year, on the same week, I feel it. Like a warmth behind me, even in an empty room. And when I sleep too close to flame, I hear my name again. One more. Just one more. You never really left. There's a sound in the trees that doesn't belong to wind, birds, or insects. It mimics your voice, then uses it against you. I should have known something was wrong when the leaves didn't rustle, even in the breeze. This story isn't about ghosts. It's about something older. Something that doesn't haunt, it absorbs. We arrived at Camp Hallowed Echo in mid-July. 5 volunteers. 10 teens. A week of nature detox. Phones surrendered. No contact with the outside world. No one told us the camp had been shut down since 1991. No one told us why. The cabins were overgrown, but still standing. We cleaned them out. repaired the fire pit, set up sleeping arrangements. Everything felt hollow, as if the place had been waiting. On the second night, Ava, one of the campers, asked a strange question. Who was whispering my name near the creek last night? We brushed it off. Told her it was probably one of the boys messing around. But then the boys asked the same thing, and no one claimed it. That's when I noticed it. Every time someone spoke, the forest repeated them. Sometimes immediately, sometimes hours later, but only when they were alone. A voice in the exact same tone, but the words were twisted, rearranged, like it was learning how to communicate. We tried recording it, but every recording came back empty. No background noise, no wind, no birds, just a low, deep hum, like breathing through stone. By the fourth night, it started using our secrets. It whispered childhood traumas, private fears, things no one else should know. The campers began isolating, whispering to the trees, muttering in their sleep. Ava was the first to vanish. She left a note carved into her bunk. The echo is my real voice now. We tried to leave, but every path looped. No matter how far we hiked, we ended up back at the fire pit. The trees were changing too, moving, almost subtly. I swear one night I woke up to branches rearranged into letters over the cabin roof. Stay. On the sixth day, we stopped sleeping. The echo wouldn't let us. It called our names constantly, just out of sight. And then, it began to copy us. I saw myself walking into the woods. Same clothes. Same limp on my right leg. Same scar under my eye. But it wasn't me. It turned, smiled, and whispered, Levi, you're the echo now. I snapped. Tried setting the camp on fire. The flames wouldn't catch. The wood was dry, but it hissed like wet bone. Like the forest itself rejected heat. The others disappeared one by one. Some walked willingly into the trees. Some screamed until their voices became part of the wind. I woke up 3 days later, face down in the dirt, 10 miles from camp. Blood dried in my ears. And something else, a burned hole in the center of my throat. I can't yell anymore. I haven't made a sound since. But sometimes, when I sit by a fire, I still hear them. Not my friends. Not the campers. Me. Screaming from the woods. Begging myself not to go back. Some camps leave behind memories. Others leave behind pieces of you. If you enjoyed this story and want more nightmares like it, subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. But remember, if you ever hear your own voice calling from the forest, don't answer. There's a sound that doesn't belong in any forest. It doesn't come from wind, or birds, or animals. It comes from beneath. And once you hear it, it hears you back. In the summer of 2012, I took a group of 6 teens into the Mount Ridge Preserve, a private stretch of forest barely marked on maps. We were part of a youth wilderness program called ClearPath, focused on recovery and self-growth. Our base was an old and used camp called Ashpine Ridge. I remember the trees being too tall, too quiet, the kind of quiet that makes your ears ring. The first 2 days were normal. Campfires, journaling, group hikes through old trails. But on the third night, one of the teens, Claire, asked, "Why does the ground hum when I stand still?" At first, I thought she was imagining it. But then I noticed it too. Standing still, you could feel a subtle vibration under your feet, like a faint engine running deep below the earth. It only lasted seconds at a time, but it was getting stronger. On the fourth day, we found a sunken clearing, a circular depression in the forest where the trees were bent outward. At its center, a ring of rocks, blackened by time. Not like a fire pit, More like a seal. One of the teens, Marcus, joked. Looks like the woods have a mouth. We laughed. Until that night, when we heard the chanting. Not loud. Not clear. Like a murmur heard through 6 feet of soil. Rhythmic. Endless. And when I stepped into the clearing to investigate, the humming stopped. Everything went still. And then, a breath. From under the dirt. That's when things began to unravel. The kids started sleepwalking. Always in the same direction, toward the clearing. One night I woke to find Claire kneeling inside the rock circle, eyes rolled back, hands flat on the ground, whispering in a language I've never heard before. I pulled her back. She screamed like she'd been burned. And when I looked down, her palms were bleeding. The rocks had grown sharp, like they wanted her blood. We tried to leave the next day, but the path was gone. Every direction curved back into camp. Even with compass and GPS, the trails reset. Like the forest had become a maze with no exit. That night, we all heard it. A voice vibrating up through the earth. You brought them. You fed us. Let us sing. One of the boys, Ethan, broke down sobbing. He confessed to hearing the voice since day one. He said it promised peace. That the forest takes the pain away. That it buries what hurts you and replaces it with calm. He wanted to stay. I begged him not to. He smiled and walked barefoot into the clearing. The ground opened. Not a hole. Not a crack. It sank as if Ethan were swallowed by soft soil. Gone in seconds. The clearing was smooth again. The next morning, 2 more kids were missing. No signs. No tracks. Just their journals, placed carefully by the fire pit. Each one filled with the same phrase written over and over. The roots remember. I don't remember how I escaped. I remember running. Screaming. Bleeding from my ears as the earth roared beneath me. I woke up at a ranger station 12 miles out. Alone. Mouth full of dirt. The camp doesn't exist anymore. At least not on paper. The Mount Ridge Preserve is sealed off, marked for wildlife rehabilitation. But some nights, if I press my ear to the ground, I still hear it. That voice. Low. Soft. Patient. Still singing beneath the pines. Waiting for another group. Another guide. Another story to bury. If the ground ever hums beneath your feet, run. Because what's underneath isn't sleeping. And if you want more stories like this, completely original and deeply disturbing, subscribe to Nightmare and Fear and help us reach 1,000 before the forest sings again.